you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you know 100 billion plastic grocery bags are produced every year in the United States alone?
Yikes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Wow.
So today we're going to talk about the problem with plastic bags and how we can turn this trash into treasure. And not only do that, but do it for a good cause. My name is JenniferGailey, and I am a member of the Outreach Committee at Eastminster Presbyterian Church. And we're excited about this possibility of doing something really good for the people who don't have a soft place to lay, and salvaging all of these plastic bags from the environment. So what I'd like to do is get to know you a little bit better, and I'd like to have you hold the ball, pass the ball, and when you have the ball, tell me your name and the experience you have with weaving.
Oh, let's just say start over there. My name is Rose, and I have no experience weaving.
My name is Rhonda. I have lots of experience weaving, but no experience weaving with plastic bags.
I'm Michelle, and nope.
I'm Charlotte, and I weave in and out of traffic. That's probably not what you're...
I'm Denise, no experience weaving.
I'm Becky, no experience at all weaving.
And I'm Roxy, and I have no experience weaving.
Okay, so Rhonda, you're our expert today.
Not with plastic bags. Did I
Not
make
with
that
plastic
clear?
bags. Well, the good news is this is going to be an easy thing to learn. But before we get into that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our problem with plastic bags and our opportunity that we have ahead of us. So, what we know about this is, are the grocery stores stingy with these things?
No.
No. Have you ever had somebody put one item in a plastic bag?
And then
Walmart's really bad about that.
Kroger is too.
Yeah. So we end up with a whole bunch of these things. And sometimes we're good about recycling them. Maybe we use them for our own trash or something like that. But a lot of times they become a nuisance. So what we do know is that the average American family gets 1,500, that's 1,500 bags a year, minimum.
Wow.
Minimum, at least if you're the average shopper and you don't have your bags that you bring with you, which is always a good idea. But a lot of times we don't have that. We stop in, we get a bag. We try to turn down a bag whenever we can, just carry the stuff out, or we have or put it in our own bags. But we still accrue a lot of those bags as well. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So this is what it takes to make those. So imagine this. So we've got the environment with all the oil and all of the things that go along with that, the drilling. We've got all the pollution that happens with that. And then what happens to them? A lot of times this happens to them. They end up in our environment. And let me tell you a little bit about how these things break down. So they, even if they're torn up into small little bits, they take up to 1,000 years to degrade. And what do you think is inside all this? It's toxins. So it's getting into our soil, into our waters, and it's causing a problem not only for us, but for our wildlife. So let's take a look at that. So this guy thought he was getting a jellyfish. He thought it was food. This also happens with deer. They think they're eating a leaf, or they think they're eating something. A lot of the animals out there eat it, and they get a full tummy. They often can't pass it, and they end up starving to death because they think they're full, and they don't eat. And so they die. And then we also have the sea turtles, and we have all of these other animals that sometimes also mistake them for prey, or sometimes it just gets caught on them. So that's the bummer news of these. So hopefully that alone will give you some motivation to maybe do something about these plastic bags. So what can we do? Meanwhile, look at this guy. This is another problem we have in society today. And this blanket here, which looks like it's really something he's very happy to have, there's some problems with this as well. It gets dirty, it gets stinky, it gets wet. So there are a lot of problems with just blankets. So let's see. Let me make sure I cover this. They get dirty, they get wet, and then they get discarded. A lot of times if they're no good. So somewhere, somehow, somebody got a bright idea and said, hey, what if we take these plastic bags that are a problem in our society, and what if we turn them into sleeping mats and solve another problem in our society? So let me just tell you a little bit about this bright idea. In 2001, this idea was brought up with a corporation called World Vision, but they decided not to do it. They abandoned the idea. They had shipping costs and red tape. There was all this stuff. It was too cumbersome for a company. And they said, no, it's not worth it. There's plastic bags. We're not going to do it. But then it was picked up again the next year by Windsor Group in Southern Ontario. And they started the movement to get people all over the world engaged, not just one corporation, but to show people and encourage people to do this on their own and in groups. So let's talk a little bit about this. This is actually the crochet version of it. So you can see in this version you have a lot more, because of the way of a crochet, you have a lot more of these. The sample I brought today is the basket weave version. This is the one we're going to be working with today, and the one that I think our church will be able to take on, and the individuals that are within it. So I'm curious, after I talked a little bit about the blanket problem, and we talked about replacing them with these, what do you think the benefits are to that?
Antimicrobial.
Yes, the bugs don't like them. They don't rot. In fact, they last 1,000 years, right? So what else?
If they're plastic, they hold heat.
They hold heat. They do have a thermal quality to them. So they're wonderful in the winter.
They don't hold odor, I would assume.
That's right. They don't stink. They don't.
You can get in the car wash.
Thicker mat too, it's gonna be.
It's a thicker
not gonna
mat,
be
so
a
it's going to be
hard,
more
Really
comfortable.
hard surfaces, so.
And I would think it would breathe some, even though it's plastic, depending on the weave, because of the air pockets that are in
Right.
there.
Yeah.
It might make them cooler in the summer.
And that may be something we may want to play with as we start to learn how to do these, and which ones work best. So here's going to pop up a few more of these. Let's see, we got, oh wait, lightweight. You can roll these up and carry them around.
Easy to carry.
Yeah, they're comfortable, no bugs, easy to clean, quick to dry. They have the thermal qualities, barrier to the ground, warm in winter, don't stink, and they're portable. So those are, that's a very compelling case, I believe, to making this happen. I'm not going to lie, it does take work. And then this is what it looks like in completion. Now you can also do the handles, so they can roll them up, tie them, and carry them over their shoulder. So that I included that in the pattern. So this is something that I know how to do this with crochet, and I think the basket weave we would probably just use fewer strips. So we'll look into that later. So just to kind of review the process that I'll demo for you. First you have a preparation phase where you straighten the bags and then you cut them. And then you get started by doing the 4 strips and knotting them together. So that's your starting point. And then to make the mat, you basket weave it for 6 feet. All the way down, turn all the way back up. You could also do it this way. the 2.5 feet across. Either way works, just whatever you prefer. So, we're going to be talking with the church on Sunday about how they can help, and I'll review this, and then we'll brainstorm some ideas on how we can make this really effective and something that the church can get involved in. But first, I'm going to do a quick demo. The first thing is, your plastic bags often come, especially when you collect them, which we'll need to do at the church, they'll come all crinkled up. So what I've found is a really easy way to do this is these little, there's a place you can put your finger right here, and then put it in the handle here, and then the other side, and then pretty much got it. Then, as we were talking about earlier, we could just take it and flatten it nice and flat. So now we have a nice straight plastic bag. The next thing you can do after you have you can do them in groups or single, you want to cut them. So in this case, I'm just going to use my scissors, and I'm just going to cut the bag at the bottom and across the top. I'm doing this a bit sloppy, but it doesn't really matter because it's going to be woven in. So there it is, it's that easy. If I can get this up. Okay, so now we have a very messy cut, but a plastic bag without a top and without a bottom. It's a ring. That's why it's such a great opportunity for a church mission. Because when you have a bunch of people collecting and a bunch of people cutting, a bunch of people weaving, that can work. And some people can specialize. I just want to be a weaver. I just want to be a cutter. So that makes it easy to implement. Okay, so I have some cutting here. I'm going to show you how to get this started, and then we're all going to do it together. Okay, so I have 2 rings on each hand. I'm going to make earrings out of it. So I'll put 2 here on top, 2 here hanging in. Okay? I'm going to pull it up. So now I've got the bunny ears. I'm going to reach through, I'm going to grab this one. And then I'm going to take this down here. Okay, so why don't we all give that a try? You all have your plastic bags.
Cheers. I'll put it up. Thank you, Miss Charlotte.
Okay. Get your earrings, bunny ears, reach through, and pull. You guys are sharp.
You pull it really tight.
Yes.
Yeah.
This time.
Now.
Yes. Okay.
There. I'm here with you now.
Then, now, what I'm going to do is, I have a different piece here, so I'm going to put that as the third one here. Don't have to. Okay. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to take this outer one, and this is going to be my weaver. And you can either do over, under, or under, over, whichever way you want to start. And you're going to go over, under, over. Now you're like this. Over, under, over. Then I'm going to go back around. Under, over, and under. That's my second row. And I'm going to keep always with my weaver over, under, over. Once your weaver becomes small, you'll have another bag. You do the same thing where you take the bunny ears, pass it through, straighten it up, and then you keep weaving.
Get the right tension every time.
So how do you guys feel about that?
Really easy.
Do you think that the church could do something like this?
Absolutely.
Some people in the church.
Somebody that's not in begging to come to church.
I think that's a great idea.
This is great.
I think Scotland.
I have two
Yay!
Well, and you can even see the basket weave in it. too,
Yeah.
when you get going.
You can.
So, what I would like to do quickly is get some ideas on when we do this, when I get some kind of activity going on Service Sunday, what you think, what are some recommendations you would give me in planning to involve the church on Service Sunday?
I liked your idea about compartmentalizing it. You people cut and you can't have scissors and you.
Yeah.
So how would I assign that? How would I know? I mean,
We
could
could
I
ask
let
people to
people?
volunteer.
So
Some people are just gonna wanna do
self-selection.
that.
You're gonna sign up, you say cutters,
Yeah.
weavers,
Yeah, sign up.
straighteners, whatever goes first, straighteners.
Or if you're using Sunday school classes, you could have the Sunday school class leaders help you with this determination of who does what. They might have people who would want to take on certain leadership kind of roles.
Or in
To
their
get more
classes, they're gonna know
who's
But
good at.
even little people can separate the bags.
Yeah.
Make them.
That way you can involve the kids and the adults and everybody.
And I wondered if you asked people to do it at home so you came prepared instead of having, maybe you just have the group weave versus, and have people cut at home and you just
Yes.
have to bring and then.
Or at least straighten the bag.
Yes.
That would take.
Right, straighten and cut the bags, I think that's important. So thank you so much. What I'd like to do is any other recommendations you have, feel free to email me, maybe jot them down, because we're almost out of time, and I just want to sum up today. So it's important to create a little comfort with your leftover plastic bags. And I want to just summarize quickly. These are the things we talked about. We can be a collector, we can be a folder, we can be a cutter, or make the mats, and this is how maybe we will work that into our Service Sunday. And then, one other thing, I just want to review the process. So what I have for you today is a handout that has the process on it, so you can take this home, and I'm actually going to give you a few to pass down. And if you have one here. Thank you. Okay, and so this has the process, the steps, and everything you would need. And I would just encourage you to pass the word that we're collecting bags. And if people want to bring them already cut, it's even better. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Great